Hi guys, so I want to talk about a different hand. So this hand I didn't win, so I thought I've been showing quite a lot of hands where I won, and I should show a few where I think I did the right thing, but I still didn't win. So now let's go with the hand. I have pocket eights on the MP, and I raise to slightly lower than 3 big blinds, and I get ID5 T calling me on the button. So and the board comes 7 4 10. So you take a look at his stats, which you can't exactly see. He's he's uh, he's not really calling too much. So but the thing is that our sample size on him is pretty small. It's about 263 hands, so his calling range there is probably quite a lot of pocket pairs, and maybe a little bit of suited connectors, and some broadways, which he didn't 3 bet. So sometimes they 3 bet ace king, sometimes they call, and hands like king queen, king jack suited maybe. So with pocket eights here, on this board, I think it's a c-bet because there's a lot of broadways that I can fold out, or they could call, which is fine too. And lower pocket pairs, yeah, probably if I were to get any value from a hand like pocket fives, I think it's more likely now than on the later street. Yep, so fired a little bit bigger because I wanted more full equity from all the Broadway hands. And he calls. Okay, and turn is a 7, so it didn't really change much. Anything with a set is now a full house. Anything that's overcuts, didn't change. So over here my plan is a check call, and of course we will probably have to check fold the river. I don't think he's bluffing 2 streets, and when I check to him he checks back. Okay, now this is interesting. If he has a hand like a 8-9 for open-ended straight draw, I'm guessing he's betting here. If he has a full house or an overpair, he is probably also betting here for value. Okay, and maybe a hand like ace king, ace queen checks back because they have some kind of showdown. Yeah, so I think any pocket sevens is, I mean, any 7, any 10, any overpair is betting. Even king queen is betting because king doesn't have a showdown value. So when he checks back, his hand range here looks more like pocket pairs and hands with showdown value. So something like ace king. So I'm just going to open up a notepad and type out the hands in his range. Okay, so we have so hands not in his range, so he doesn't have like 7x, he doesn't have like 10x, he doesn't have like jack queen queen, he doesn't have 8 9, he doesn't have what else, king queen. So hands in his range will be things like anywhere from deuces, 3s, 5s, 6s, maybe 8s, 9s, 8s, I mean I have them, and hands like ace king, ace queen, maybe even ace jack if he thinks that is good enough to check back. So yeah, so, and of course if he happens to have a hand like 8 jack suited, he is probably gonna bet it too, but if he checks back, he's unlikely to check back. I mean, what's the point of floating the flop if you're not going to take a shot at a bluff if when it's your turn on the turn. So many of his hands in his range are going to be showdown hands with some kind of showdown value, which is all these hands. Okay, and the river plays a 5. So if you take a look at the hands in his range, you'll notice I'm actually ahead, right? Because I'm ahead of deuces, 3s, 4, I mean 5s now. It's now a full house, but the 5 coming also means that there's less 5s in his range. So, and of course there's less 6s in his range. So you can see that I beat the deuces, the 3s, the 5s, the 6, split with the 8s, which he doesn't always have. And of course I'm behind the 9s, and I'm also ahead of all these ace king, ace queen, ace jack that might be in his range. So if I were to check here, he is probably going to check back most of his hands because that was the point of checking back the turn in the first place. And he will bet with the stronger end of his ranges. So maybe, I mean, I mean, oh yeah, he could also have a hand like 10 jack, 10 jack or 10 9, 10 9 suited, right? That he thinks that is not good enough to fire value bet, but for 3 streets, so maybe checks back to fire on the river. So so what happens is that the hands that will bet if I check to him will be the stronger ranges, which is this 10 9, 10 jack, which is ahead of me, and maybe he bets his pocket nines too. So basically his betting range here is just most of the time going to be ahead, and I probably have to call because this is, you know, near the top end of my range. But if I fire a small bet here, you notice that many of his hands, even all the way down to pocket twos, might find a call. And because I look like a bluff and the board is, you know, pretty dry, and if I had anything strong, I'll probably fire bigger. So ace, even hands like ace king could find a bluff catch, and hands like sixes, threes could want to bluff catch as well. And another thing is I actually reduce the value that hands like they are better than me get from me. So for example, like 10 jack. So because I bet he's unlikely to be raising into me, but whereas so I actually bet like $1.16 here. But if I had checked, he might bet something like $2 and I end up losing more. Yep. So the purpose of this bet is dual purpose. So the first purpose is to get value from weaker, from a larger part of his range, Okay, so a hand like, so I'm actually going to refer to a hand like sixes and ace king, because these hands will actually check back, so I get value. And the second purpose would be to reduce losses from a hand like 10 jack and a hand like nines, right? So I will be losing to this range, but if I bet, they are unlikely to raise because they are not strong. So now I reduce my losses that against the better part of his range, and he ends up calling, and he shows up with pocket jacks. So in this case, I've actually successfully reduced the value that jacks got from me. So it's kind of weird that he checked back the turn, but if I check to him on this river, I'm guessing he is probably betting something like $2 or something, and I'll end up losing another 4-5 big blinds. So I still like my play here. Yep, so that's the end of this hand review session. Thank you for watching.